Simone, and I am a STEM instructor with Creative Encounters with Science. And today, we are going to go through our Camp in a Box mission to the moon. Now, when doing your Camp in a Box, you want to make sure that you have an adult nearby to supervise and to help out a little. Now, our mission today is to go live on the moon. So to start, it's important to think about what we are going to need when living on the moon. Now, something that we use every single day here on Earth is energy. Now, we use energy every single day for almost everything that we use. So we're going to need energy when living on the moon. But the thing is a lot of the energy that we use here on Earth wouldn't make sense when living on the moon. But one way that would make so much sense is solar energy. So solar energy is energy from the sun. And the thing about the moon is that it has almost no atmosphere. So it almost has no gases surrounding it, which means that it has no weather. So there's no wind or no rain and no clouds. So there are no clouds to block the sun's rays. So solar energy makes a lot of sense for using it on the moon. And so maybe we can use solar energy when we're living on the moon. Now, to test out the power of the sun and show us how it could be such a great source of energy for us when living on the moon, let's build a solar oven. To test the power of the sun, we are going to build a solar oven. Now, what you're going to need from your Camp in a Box kit is the cardboard box, the small cardboard box with a little flap in it, the small black piece of paper, the piece of aluminum foil, and also the piece of clear plastic and the Scotch tape. And our first step in making our solar oven is to take the black piece of paper and also a piece of tape that we are going to roll so that all the sides are sticky. And you can stick that to the back of your black piece of paper, and that is going to be stuck to the bottom of the inside of your box. So you can take your black piece of paper and stick it into the bottom, just like that. And we use black piece of paper because black absorbs sunlight, all the sunlight, so that way it'll get hotter on the inside and help melt our tasty snack faster. Our second step in building our solar oven is we want to take the aluminum foil, and we are going to tape our aluminum foil to the flap of our box. And we're going to tape it so that all of the aluminum foil faces towards the inside of the box like this. So to do that, you can either make a tape loop the same way we did with our black piece of paper and stick it to the back of our aluminum foil, and we can stick that right onto the flap, just like that, so that it covers the whole flap. And you'll notice that the aluminum foil is a little bit bigger than the flap is, so we can just fold it over and maybe add some extra tape on the back to help keep it on there, to help keep our aluminum foil secure. And then our next step is we are going to take the clear plastic sheet and we are going to tape it over the hole in the opening of the box. And you'll notice if you place it one way, it'll cover the whole opening, but if you put it the other way, there'll be a little bit of space. And now we want it to tape it so that the entire opening is covered by our clear plastic sheet. And the best way to do this is to have your lid out so that the flaps are sticking out like this. You can place your plastic sheet over the opening, and then you take some tape and tape it down so that the plastic stays on the lid. And it's easiest to tape it down each flap just like this to make sure that our plastic sheet is nice and secured. And now we use the plastic sheet so that all the heat is going to stay inside of our solar oven. And we have the aluminum foil to reflect the sunlight into our little oven. So now, after just those simple steps, our solar oven is complete. And now to make a nice warm melted snack, all you have to do is open the lid, stick a snack on the inside, and then you close up your lid. Just close the flap so that your snack is on the inside. And if you place your solar oven in a sunny spot for about 30 minutes, you should have a nice warm melted snack. Now that we know what kind of energy we can use on the moon, now we need a way to build our moon base. But building in space can be kind of tricky. So maybe to help us figure out how we can do this, let's take a look at something that was built in space. Well, the International Space Station was built in space. So the International Space Station, also sometimes known as the ISS, is basically just a really big research lab that orbits Earth. So astronauts go up there and they live there for about 6 months at a time doing research on all different kinds of topics. But the thing about the International Space Station is that it is too big to have built here on Earth and then sent up to space in one piece. So it was sent up piece by piece and then built in space. Now, how was the International Space Station built all the way up in space? Now, this was done using the Canadarm, which is a robotic arm built by a Canadian company. So the Canadarm is a robotic arm with a gripper end effector. So an end effector is just the thing at the end of a robotic arm that is made to interact with the environment. So the end effector on the Canadarm, it interacts with the environment by grabbing onto things, which is how it built the International Space Station. So the way it works is it has 3 different wires that are attached all along around the end effector. And what happens is as the end effector twists, it'll close around an object that's in the middle of it. Let's take a look and make our very own end effector. Now, to build our very own end effector. So to build our end effector, what you will need is you will need the styrofoam cups that came in your kit, and taped to them, you should have 3 pieces of string. And the cups themselves, you have 2 cups that are kind of cut in half. You have a shorter one and a taller one, and then we're also going to use a clothespin. And this clothespin is going to be like our building material to build our moon base. Now, our very first step in building this is you're going to take your shorter cup and you're going to take one of the pieces of string, grab a piece of tape, and I want you to put the tape on the very end of the string so that not too much of the string is sticking out of the tape. And you're just going to tape it anywhere along the outside of the shorter cup, close to the end that was cut. So you'll see one end has a little bump. We're going to tape it close to the other end. So right up close to the edge, just like that. And we are going to do the same thing for the other 2 strings, and we want to do our best to try to make them equally spaced apart. It does not matter if they're perfect, as long as they're not right up next to each other. So we have all 3 strings taped around the outside of the shorter cup. Now what we want to do is take the shorter cup and put it on top of the longer one, just like this. And make sure that when you do that, you grab the strings so that they all face out, so that none of them got caught in between the 2 cups. And now what we're going to do is we are going to tape these strings to the inside of that longer cup, so the inside of the inside cup. So we're going to grab a piece of tape, and again, you can put the piece of tape on the string before taping it down. And then it's going to be in about the same place on the other cup, just on that inside cup. So there's the cup. We can stick it right there. So it makes like it's a little loop when it's like that. And we can do the same thing for the other 2 strings. We have 3 loops where one end is attached to the outside cup and the other end is attached to the inside cup, just like that. And now something that you'll see, and the way we're going to use our end effector, is that we are going to hold one of the cups still. It does not matter which cup you hold still as long as one of them is held still, and we're going to twist the other one. And you'll see that as you twist, the strings kind of close around the middle. And that's just like how the Canadarm end effector works. So now we can also just twist it back the other way to open it again. So we can try picking up a few things. So something that is great to try picking up is our clothespin, which is our building material. So you can place it on the table kind of standing up, and you can place your end effector over it, hold one cup still, and twist the other one, and see if you can pick up your building material, your clothespin. And then if you have a really good hold on it, you could even try setting it back down on the table and letting go. And there we go, that is how your end effector works. Now that we have energy and a way to build our moon base, we need a way to land on the moon. An important part of landing on the moon is something called shock absorption. And so a shock absorber is anything that is used to absorb the force of an impact to prevent something from breaking, like the lunar lander. And we use shock absorbers in our life all the time. So things like common sports protective equipment uses foam as a shock absorber to prevent a person from getting injured. On our lunar landers, we can use a variety of things as shock absorbers. But one really cool thing that we can use is an index card folded up like an accordion. So you see what will happen is when I squish it, it kind of folds up like that, and it can act as a shock absorber. So our very final activity is to build a lunar lander for us to be able to land on the moon. Now we want our lunar lander to protect our astronaut. And so our astronaut in our lunar lander activity is going to be the marble that you find within your Camp in a Box. Now the other materials that you have to use to build your lunar lander are, we have a paper cup, which is going to be the cabin that our astronaut sits in during landing. We have a piece of cardboard. We have 2 popsicle sticks. There are some cotton balls for you to use. Some pieces of foam. We have some straw pieces for you to use. And also those index cards that we were talking about. So remember, you can use a folded up index card like an accordion as a shock absorber. So you can use whatever materials you want. You can use all of them or just a couple of them. Whatever you think feels right for your lunar lander. But today I am going to take you through a very simple example of one to kind of give you an idea of what you could do. And so for the example that I'm going to build with you, what you will need is you will need your paper cup and your astronaut. So you have your cabin and your astronaut. We need the piece of cardboard. We need the 2 popsicle sticks and also 2 index cards that are folded like an accordion. So I can move these out of our way because these are the materials that we are going to use to build a basic lunar lander. So you could follow along and build this one with me, or you could build this one and add some things to it, or maybe just look at it to get a little bit of inspiration. So our very first step in building this basic lunar lander is we want to take our paper cup to our piece of cardboard. And now this is a step that you can do whether you're making this lunar lander or a completely different one. I find this is a very good place to start. And so to tape it, you can just put your cup maybe about in the middle of your piece of cardboard and tape along the side here so that it touches the cup and the cardboard. And to do this, you might want to get some longer pieces of tape so that it stays on there quite nicely. And you might want to add a couple of pieces so that our cup stays attached to the cardboard. We wouldn't want our cabin coming off of our lunar lander when landing. That would certainly injure our astronaut. So we're going to tape that so it's nice and secure, so that when we land, our astronaut is going to sit in this cabin here, and I'm going to put all of my shock absorbers on the bottom of this piece of cardboard here. So I am going to use 2 index cards as shock absorbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tape them to the bottom of my lunar lander. So we're going to grab some tape, have our index cards folded like an accordion. And so we're gonna go to the bottom of our lunar lander, the bottom of that cardboard piece, and I'm going to put the index card on one edge there and tape along the outside like that. And I'm going to do it to both sides so that it stays on there secure. And it would also help to add a piece of tape on the inside here. So you have it going from the outside of the piece of cardboard to the outside of the index card. I think flipping it over and putting another piece right in here will help keep that piece of paper secure on our lunar lander. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my second index card, except I'm going to put it on this side now. Now our next step, you might notice that these index cards are pretty wobbly. I don't think they'd really secure anything like this. So we want to stabilize them a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to use a popsicle stick. And so to do this, I'm going to take a popsicle stick and tape it to both of the index cards on the bottom. So you'll see I'll take it, attach it here, and stick some tape on it so that that piece of popsicle stick is attached to the index card. And I'm going to do the same to the other side of the popsicle stick. And I'm going to do the same thing for this piece of popsicle stick. I just need to rip myself some more tape. So when building your lunar lander, you're probably going to use a lot of tape to secure everything on there. It can never hurt to add more tape to make sure that nothing falls off during landing. That this tape will really help you keep everything stuck together. So we are going to take this popsicle stick with tape on the end and tape it to the other side. And when you're taping it, I like to tape it to the bottom of the index card, and then I kind of like to fold it over and tape it to that side of that fold to kind of get it securely on there, just like that. And then you can kind of squish out your tape a bit so that it's all flat. And then so this, what we have here, is a very basic model of a lunar lander. So you'll see it kind of sits like this, and as it falls, it'll squish down on those index cards that are folded. And so you see it might kind of lean to one side or the other. So this is where you might want to add your straws or some other stuff that is included in your Camp in a Box to maybe make it even better. And so once you are satisfied with your lunar lander, what you can do is you can take your astronaut, so your marble, you can put him in the paper cup, and you can test out your lunar lander. And so to test it out, what you can do is you can lift it up. You can start by raising it up just a little bit off your table or the ground and dropping it and seeing if it protects your astronaut. So if your marble stays inside of your lunar lander. So you can do a little test here. I'll hold it here and drop it. So you see my marble is still in my cabin. So this protected my astronaut. But you'll see that it kind of tilts a little, so maybe I want to go and add a few more things to it to make it better. So if yours doesn't work right away, that's okay. You can go back and think about some other things that you can add or change to make it work, or even make it even better if it does work. So great job, everybody. Congratulations, everybody. Now that we have a way to get energy on the moon, to build our moon base, and to land on the moon, we have completed our mission. Now feel free to go through that booklet that came in your Camp in a Box for a bit more information about everything that we talked about today. And I just want to say thank you for joining us on our mission to the moon.